What have I told you? By the end of this video, I will solve your inaccuracy problems with one simple tip. You want to know what it is? That tip is trigger control. If you kind of think about it, majority of students who have any issue with a firearm, it's normally a trigger issue more than it is anything else. Now, grip is important, and stance is important, and sight alignment is important, but at the end of it, the trigger is the thing that manipulates the pistol the most. And as a firearms instructor working with students on a regular basis, we have a gun range here too, so I go in the back and watch people shoot. A lot of times it is about what they're doing with the trigger. They're not understanding the trigger travel. They're just pulling the trigger through the shots. And this is causing a lot of the inaccuracy that most people have. We talk about it all the time about a trigger needs to be brought back in a slow manner for you can feel the whole travel as it comes back. Rubber gun here, guys. We're going to be pointing at the camera real quick, but I want to kind of give you, it has no manipulating trigger on it, but you can still manipulate the gun by just seeing it. So I have the gun in my hand. Let's say I get my proper grip. We all know what proper grip is. That's 3 fingers on one side and then 4 fingers here, bringing your thumbs in to allow you to get the best grip you can. And here I'm going to just slap the trigger. Do you see how that gun bobbles every time I pull the trigger? Well, that's what's happening in your training that you're doing. And the more you do it, the more the bullet's not going to stay in line. It's going to cut down. So when you're at the range and you're shooting and you're finding your targets are all low, you most likely you could start with looking for the problem by watching how you manipulate the trigger. And tell you the truth, large percentage of people pull the trigger versus press the trigger. They get it up there in front of them and they slap that trigger so hard that it causes it to dump. If you don't believe you're doing that, have one of your buddies or pals load your magazine with 5 rounds. Have them put the rounds in. Let's say they put 3 rounds in and you thought they put 5. When you go to cut that 4th round and it's not there, you're going to be somewhat surprised when that gun doesn't fire, and it's going to cause that big dipping motion. We've all done it. We've all been at the range and thought we had 4 in there. There was only 3 in there, and when we went to go to pull the trigger, we dumped the front round like that. If you think this gun's at any angle besides level, it's going to shoot low or it's going to shoot high. So if the weapon's here and you pull the trigger and bring the front post down, then that's going to be a problem for us. If you were to keep the weapon out in front of you and just slowly press the trigger, which in turn keeps the weapon level, this is what we're looking for. I want to help you solve your problems, and I want to give you a free ebook, which is in the description below. And we have books on trigger control, we have books on sight alignment, we have books on why I shoot low and left, 10 secrets of a firearms instructor. I don't care which one you get for free. I'm going to give you one for free. All you got to do is go in the descriptions below, then hit down in the shop area, throw one of these books in the cart, and put free book at checkout, and it's yours for free. No strings attached. I want to give it to you. If you want to add a few more books to help us out, we would appreciate it. Right now, those books are on sale. They're normally $3.99. We're giving you 50% off, which allows you to get them for $1.99. And then I'm going to give you one for free. So there's no brainer, guys. Get these books. It'll help you out tremendously. We've taken each one of the things I felt were important: grip, stance, trigger control, sight picture, sight alignment. And all those are in individual books explaining it down to the T. The cool thing is most of these books are backed up by our YouTube channel, which you guys are on right now. And as well as that, there is a book to read about it, and you can watch it on YouTube and then go back to the range and be supportive. Buy the book and by the YouTube channel. We have SpeakPipe, which is a 90-second voicemail you can send us and ask us a question. We're going to host those on our Tuesday night live. We would appreciate if you had any firearms training questions or accuracy questions. As long as you keep it to 90 seconds, we'll work through them and put them in our Q&A sections on our Tuesday night live. That's enough of that, right, guys? So let's get back into the story. What we want to think mostly about is, what is a good trigger press? A good trigger press is a slow cadence of the trigger without the gun moving. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a live Glock pistol. Now we're going to check it, make sure it's empty. It is. And we're going to work on showing you a slow trigger engagement. And I'm going to rack it back, bring it up in front of you, and just slowly take the sights back until the weapon cuts. Now you should not see any bobble when you do this. This is called dry firing. And as we dry fire the weapon, we should get it back to a slow travel cadence that we do not get any kind of bobble. Let me show you a bobble just for you to see it. When you're doing it at home, you can visualize it. Do you see how that dipped there? Because I slapped the trigger. We don't want to slap. We don't want that. We want this. Get your eyes, get your focus, and slowly press through. As you notice, I'm trying to shoot with both eyes open. And here the lighting's a little weird. You should focus on both ways. Try to shoot with both eyes open and one eye closed. You saw how I squinted a little bit, which allowed my dominant eye to catch back up. This is something, when I got my glasses, it caused me to go back to learn how to shoot with both eyes open. When I used to not wear glasses, I shot with both eyes open all the time. So trigger press, if I could give it to you in one way, it's a slow, continuous press until the weapon cuts. And that cut should not be something you know. It should surprise you a little bit. When you first start shooting, when you go back to the back and you're running 15 rounds in a gun, there's what causes a lot of the trigger slapping, is you're in this consistent cadence that's going to want you to shoot more, shoot more, shoot more. What I always recommend is 5 shots at a time. And as we work on that 5 shots at a time, we want to work that weapon and make it a slow, continuous press to the back while letting the weapon stay level. And the more the weapon stays level, the easier it is for you to understand how much travel you need. So how could you test out travel? You could do dry firing, which we're doing here. You could get to range and put in one-shot drills. There's a video on our YouTube channel about one-shot drills, and that's basically pretty simple. You're going to put the one bullet in the magazine. You can have 2 magazines on the table, and just start getting that understanding how far the trigger must travel back before the weapon cuts. There is a good drill that I would give you to help you understand if you're really pulling the trigger or not pulling the trigger. And it's going to be right up here. It's called the line drill. And that line drill is pretty simple to do. You could bring in a black electric tape if you want to, electrical tape. You could do a black magic marker. It doesn't really matter. Put that out about at your line of sight. Your line of sight. So you have a vertical and horizontal line in your face. You want to have that line up here, and then you want to put out to 3 yards, maybe 5 yards if you like. 3 yards probably better. And then you're going to work on trying to put the bullets on that line. Now, if you're impacting that line or a little bit above that line, then you're doing okay. But if your bullets are impacting below that line, you are doing some kind of manipulation of the trigger on the weapon itself. Keep in mind, you want to be very diligent. Let me grab the plastic gun here. You want to make sure the gun's up in your line of sight. What you don't want to do is dump your head to get to the line of sight. And you guys that wear bifocals, this is probably a bad thing too. You could probably wear a pair of cheaters when you're at the range, and that may help you a little bit. Those bifocals can cause some problems once in a while. Trigger is the most important part of the fundamentals that you have to understand completely. When I go in the back, I know Smith and Wesson's trigger, I know Glock's trigger, I know Ruger's trigger because we shoot them an awful lot. But when some student brings in a gun I've never shot before, the very first thing I do is get it in my hand and see what they're working with. Remember, where I'm trying to teach them to shoot their pistol, but if their pistol has a real terrible trigger, we got to kind of work on the best way to engage it. So this trigger press works on all pistols. This trigger press works on all grip sizes and hand sizes and everything else like that. You can have perfect grip, you can have perfect stance, you can have perfect sight alignment, but if you do not have proper trigger control, everything goes out the window, guys. So I would recommend that you watch this next video we got coming up, and it talks about the line drill. And this line drill is going to give you a great opportunity to understand and see how much manipulation you're putting on the pistol on a regular basis. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you very much. You're very important to me. We'll see you guys.